back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Whatnauts review show, number 135. We are cruising along in those numbers there. But if you did not know, this is our weekly book club style podcast where we cover all sorts of different genres and mediums. Could be a comic, a movie, a TV show, anime, manga, something else, who knows. We have all sorts of stuff for you to check out. This week we are covering an anime, Great Pretender, which I believe is it. I forgot to look up if this was a Netflix original or not. I don't know.
I think it is, yeah.
Yes, because it did say at the start, a Netflix original.
Yep.
Anime. Okay, yeah, there you go. So you guys can go check this one out on Netflix. Great Pretender, what we will be talking about in just a bit. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined, as always, by Melissa Wilkinson.
Yes.
Melissa, you are in a bright, festive red sweater, and I like it.
It's a blazer. I never wear it because it's, like the sleeves don't roll up super well. It's
Sure.
a nice item. And I have a habit of shoving my sleeves up all the time, which is fine on like a $20 cardigan that I don't care if it gets stretched out. But this is a nice blazer and I don't want to warp the fabric. So I don't wear it unless it's very cold.
I gotcha. It's a nice color, though.
Mm-hmm.
Looks good. How has your
Thank you.
weekend been, though?
Productive, I suppose. I got all my shopping done for my immediate family. I didn't actually buy any of the stuff, but I bought some things, and the rest of them, they're all neatly in a cart somewhere. I just have to click buy on those.
Website. Yeah. I'm thinking about that stuff. I've bought certain things for certain people and stuff like that, but I don't have it all done yet. I need to figure out some things still. But my weekend has been okay. You guys may or may not have noticed that we haven't really put out new episodes in like 2 weeks. If you're listening to this around the time of us recording it, and we had a lot of technical difficulties here on with my computer. Long story short, Premiere Pro was shutting itself down, not crashing, just turning off by itself. and I had no idea what to do, so I contacted Adobe support. I was back and forth with them for about a day, and they were like, well, we can't figure it out. How about you talk to Microsoft? So I spent about a day and a half or so with Microsoft, and they were like, well, we can't figure it out, so go back to Adobe. So I went back to Adobe and I was just like, okay, what the hell? We need to figure this out. And we eventually did. I think it's my graphics card. They updated it recently. They updated the driver, and I think it just wasn't playing nice with Adobe. It was a little bit buggy. We did something and it fixed it, but then the same problem started happening for another program. And so I went back and was just like, it's happening again to this other thing now. Here's what they did last time. Can we try that again? And so we did that and it fixed it. But now it's just like, okay, well, I now emailed the support for my graphics card manufacturer just to be like, what's going on here with this? And they haven't responded yet, and that was on Monday. So which will have been a week tomorrow. So they also don't have the like live chat function. They just have to like fill out this form and we'll get back to you at some point. So thankfully things are working right now, and I've managed to fix some bugs and stuff, because when I took off the graphics card and put things back on, it like redid all of my stuff, and I was just like, oh god, what do I do? But here we are, we're back in the saddle doing our thing. and about to talk about Great Pretender
Mm-hmm.
on Netflix. Melissa, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty certain this is going to win my biggest surprise of 2020. I loved this show.
It's so much fun.
It really is. I had no idea though. Like I saw it when it came on Netflix because Netflix knew to recommend it to me. But more often than not, I just kind of ignore that thing that like first starts playing on Netflix, right? Until I start to hear some things of like, oh yeah, that show, Queen's Gambit. It's great. You should watch it. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, Netflix was, putting that up there.
Yeah.
This was like, Great Pretender. Here's a thing you would like. And I would just like skip. I didn't hear anything. No one I know has been talking about this. And that's why I'm so surprised. It's great. I love it.
Do you know when this first season came out? Because they just dropped season 2.
Yes.
We only watched season 1 for this episode, but I imagine both of us will soon be watching season 2.
Let's see, do we have an episode list? List of episodes. June 2nd, 2020.
Oh.
No, that's
I
for
don't
Netflix.
remember
That's
hearing
for Netflix
about
Japan.
This. Oh, okay. Well,
so I don't know if it was a simultaneous release or not. It also says, well, no, because that's longer than okay, because Ultra seems like they were doing weekly stuff. So I'm gonna assume June 2nd. 2020.
I don't remember hearing about it.
Right now we're in December 2020.
Yes.
Which is like right when season 2 aired. So yeah, it's been out for a little bit, but it's still pretty new. So yeah. Man, this was exactly what I needed. I think especially after Irredeemable being so like heavy and dark and stuff like that, which we covered the past couple months on our end of the month specials. And this was just fast paced, lighthearted, funny. It was fun. It was a good time. This was just exactly what I needed. So
yeah, and I didn't look at the episode listing before I started watching the show, so I had no idea how it was structured. I thought it was going to be like a scam of the week, and then they're in one scam for a couple episodes. I'm like, is this the entire season? This is moving pretty fast for this to be the entire season. I wonder where the story is going. And then it turns out season 1 is 3 different scams that each take 4 or 5 episodes apiece.
Yeah, 3 cases. They call them cases.
Yeah, they don't call them scams. They're a little classier than that.
Yeah, because they're confidence men. Did you say constipated? So I enjoyed this. I would say this is a mix between Lupin the Third, Cowboy Bebop, Ocean's 11,
yes,
and maybe some Mad Men thrown in there. I can't
speak to that.
The open. So you've not seen Mad Men then, right?
I saw the pilot a long time ago, and that's it.
Okay. Do you remember the opening credits sequence? Where it's like
okay. That's what you're talking about. Not any of the narrative elements of Mad Men, just the way the opening sequence looks.
The opening sequence, there's the scene where the guy like falls out the window and there's money flying around. They have that exact same thing here in the opening sequence. It's like,
sort of blocky, silhouetted Saul Bass look. Yeah.
And the opening credits of this is that style with this like funky jazz tune playing that's very reminiscent of the song Tank by the Seat
Yes.
Belts for Cowboy Bebop. And yeah, it just like immediately starts making you smile. And the artwork is beautiful, and there's colors galore. It's almost psychedelic in the way they do that stuff, but it's not. Yeah, it's an interesting mix of stuff, and it's so much fun.
It is.
So I highly recommend this.
There's a lot of depth to it too. Like
Absolutely.
it's very funny, but it's not a straight up comedy 100% of the time. Like there are some very serious emotional moments between these characters. I'd still overall call it a romp, but you will be harrowed as well.
Yeah. You will have some touching moments.
Yeah.
So now that we have thoroughly praised it, let's do a synopsis for people who might not know what we're talking about yet. So, Great Pretender starts out in Japan, and it follows this guy. His name is Makoto Edamura, and they call him Edamame for short. That took me forever to get out.
They even have him. I think it's Cynthia has him in her phone as Edamame. Like they just don't.
That's just his nickname. Yeah,
they don't get his name at all. They're like, Edamame. Yeah, and that's what they keep calling him the rest of the series.
And he is a kind of small time scam artist. He's swindling people out of money with these fake scams and some partners that help him to do these scams. And he ends up trying to pickpocket and scam this guy that he just thinks is a tourist. And he's he's like, this guy is. This white guy here in Japan, he won't know what happened, and it turns out that guy is a much better scam artist.
Yes,
and has in fact scammed him, not only for stealing his wallet, because when they're like, okay, let's see how much money we got there, and they dump it out and it's all newspaper clippings. But then as that pilot goes, you learn that everything that's basically happened in episode 1 was all a scam from that white guy. And it was just like, oh my god, we're in so deep. He's in over his head. And so, long story short, our main character ends up getting involved with Laurent, who is a Frenchman who has scammed him, and they're now going to be working together to scam some more people.
Edamura just follows him to Los Angeles. I need to know what this guy's deal is. Where is he going? Yeah, I'll buy a plane ticket to LA. I don't know what's over there. But I'm going to learn something about this guy and how he moves.
He has this sense of hey, I was supposed to steal your money, so now you owe me money because I didn't get the money. So he's just like, I'm gonna follow you until I can get my money and leave. But so then they start working together, and then, like you said, in season 1 there are 3 cases that they do. The first case is them trying to sell drugs to a mafia member in Hollywood.
Yeah, it was this big film producer.
Yeah. And then the second case is them trying to scam these 2 brothers who have this scripted airplane race that they do every year in Singapore. And they're hoping to scam them out of a bunch of money. And then the third and shortest case is about them trying to scam this big time art jailer, mainly because he's a dick.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we don't like him. We're gonna screw him over. But
Mhm.
yeah, this was good. This was fun. I highly recommend checking it out. Season 2 just came out on Netflix, and I know season 2 is all one big case.
Yeah. Intriguing.
I noticed that. So there you go. Hopefully we've piqued your interest enough to go check it out. Yes.
And I want to say, the show, when I started it on Netflix, I think it was set to I think it was starting in English. No, it was in Japanese, and I clicked on it to see, like, let me see how the dub sounds. You know, I like to try both of them, maybe. And it said it was in the original Japanese.
Yeah. So
Or
they have
something. No, I don't remember. How it goes. Anyway, but like when people are speaking Japanese, they are speaking Japanese, and it is English subtitled. But when they're speaking English, they are speaking English. And both of the main characters have accents. Edamura has his Japanese accent, and Laurent has his French accent. And then abruptly, like 10 minutes into episode 1, where they're like commenting on each other's accents while they're both speaking English to each other, there's a sign like within the animation that flashes on the screen that says, from here on out, we're going to remove all the accents and everything's going to be in English. And then that's just how it goes for the rest of the series. And that seemed, integral. Like that was there from the very beginning. Like, we are planning this mainly for an English audience. We're going to set it up to be mostly English, from the beginning out.
It was an interesting move because I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
I, on one hand, was taken aback by it and was like, wait, no, don't do that. But then, I think I ended up liking it that way because I think as much as I like the accents and it makes it more realistic, right? It makes it a little bit harder to decipher. And I at least for me, an English speaker who has a fairly normal English accent in the United States, right? It's one less thing to have to kind of worry about, being like, okay, did I hear him say that right? Because, like we said, the colors are almost psychedelic. It's nonstop, fast paced. There's a lot happening very fast. And they were just like, look, we get it. You don't have to worry about that. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, sure.
Yeah, and it is a globe-trotting show. Like, we have scenes that take place in Japan, in Singapore, in France, like all over the place. We have other characters that are speaking foreign languages. So I think they set that English baseline so that then it is easier for you to jump around to, okay, now they're speaking French, and now somebody's speaking Chinese in a later scene.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. What a multicultural show.
Indeed. Well, yeah. Let's do some housekeeping, and then we will move on and get into our spoiler section. If you guys did not know, we have multiple podcasts here at the Whatnauts. You guys can find out more information on our website, thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. Just type in the Whatnauts and all of our shows will pop up right there. If you like what we do, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. We also have a $3 tier where you guys can get all sorts of exclusive content. We have a bunch of review show stuff up there, a bunch of Captain's Log stuff up there. We recently started putting up some stuff for Crossplay, our video game podcast. So yeah, be sure to check out all of that. And I know there's some more coming down the road. It looks like we won't get to that till the new year gets started, but there will be more of that coming down the road. Yeah, last but not least, a big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier. So thank you, Sam, so much for helping us out and supporting us. We love you a lot. Yeah, that wraps us up for housekeeping. You guys can go check out all of that. I guess we should mention we are approaching the end of the year.
Yeah.
Meaning our last episode for this here podcast, for the review show specifically, is going to be December 20th. Means we have this one, we have next week, and then the week after that. And then we're going to be taking like 2 weeks off for the holidays. So we'll have all of that stuff, but you guys should also be on the lookout for our 5-year anniversary retrospective. At the end of each year, we like to do a big celebration podcast where we can eat, drink, and be merry, and just talk about all the neat things. I know in specifically relation to the review show, we'll have like what our favorite stuff of the year was, what our least favorite stuff was, and like I mentioned at the start here, what our biggest surprise was gonna be. I know we'll have some more stuff. I know Melissa likes to make the playlists.
I'm still working on the playlists. I'm making a list of weirdly common repeating themes, very specific things we keep running into this year. Yeah. There's my favorite question of the year: who is your review show dream date? So
indeed,
it'll be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a blast, and we will have the whole crew there, so it's not just going to be me and Melissa. It's going to be all of the other hosts on Crossplay as well. So be on the lookout for that. We have some fun stuff coming up at the end of the year, and then we will be back shortly in January. There you go. House has been kept. Indeed. Okay, let's move on to spoilers. You can hear it this week.
I can.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, Melissa, where do you want to start with this one? I feel like there's so many places to start, because there's the characters, the artwork, there's all these cases, there's there's so much.
I think I want to start with one of the things that really made an impression on me right off the bat is as soon as you get Laurent and Edamura together, they're really flirting with each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like, not flirting, but I'm like, is this what the show is going to be? Is it just going to be... is it just going to be these two guys going on pseudo-romantic cases and like doing this cat and mouse scam game with each other for 14 episodes? I thought I was being so neatly set up to be a show about this pair of characters. Yeah. And then they add more people to the team who I do really like. We get Abby, we get Cynthia, and like these characters are always around each other, but like that direct opposition between Laurent and Edamura kind of dissipates. I was hoping for more like back and forth between the two of them specifically.
Yeah, it starts out really strong, and then I don't know if dissipates is the right word, but I know what you're getting at, right? Like the show starts to expand a bit, and with the larger cast, it just doesn't take as much of a major role. But there is
they don't have a lot of one-on-one scenes with each other.
Yeah, but they do have this kind of flirty relationship. It's not flirty in like a romantic subtext, like, oh, maybe they're gay, but we don't know. It's more of like he's oddly trying to court him to be a better scam artist,
right?
And like join the team, and Edamame doesn't want to join the team, but also wants to learn how to be a better scam artist. And it's just like it's just this like, I don't like you, but okay.
Yeah, and like Laurent loves Edamura, can't be bothered to remember his name, unfortunately, but really likes this guy, really wants him on the team, wants him around. Yeah, but Edamura has a stronger personal code. Like, he does a lot of small time scams and he's very proud of the work he's done. But when
Yeah.
they start getting into like more serious crimes and like higher dollars that he's stealing, he's like, I don't like that I am a part of this.
Yeah.
And at the end of that case, he gets all the money and he takes it back home to the police in Japan. And he's like, this accounts for every small time scam I've done over the last couple years. And he's like, I'm going to spend my time in jail. I'm going to leave scamming. I'm going to take an honest job as a mechanic. And then the mechanic leads him to like, hey, I think I've got a friend who you'd really enjoy working for. I'm going to send you over to that guy. And then Edamura is just right back where he started. He's back with Laurent again. Like fate has brought them together again. And he's like, I guess this is what I do now. And then he's just with them through the rest of the season. And he's still like, I don't like what you're doing.
Reluctant.
And I'm going... Yeah, and he's like, I'm still trying to be a better person than the rest of you, but he's still there. He's not leaving again. He's like, I can't escape. I can only hope to be a good influence on you.
That first case, he's in. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll help you out with this thing. He's still a little bit reluctant.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know what you guys are up to exactly, but I'll help out so I can get my money and then, get out. And then the second case, he's reluctant. He's like, I don't want to have anything to do with it. In fact, we get like a 2-year time jump between those first two cases, and then the third one he's still out. He's like, I don't want to have anything to do with this, but then circumstances kind of bring him back around, and in fact he's the one that's like, hey guys, I want to scam someone. Like there's someone here that I don't like, and or more so like he wants to help someone else, and so he's like, hey, the way to do that would be to scam this person, but I need your guys' help to do this.
Yeah, and that's a scam that he's doing for altruistic reasons, to give the money to somebody else who needs it, not for himself. And the mark of the scam is a guy who he has seen be an absolute jerk. Yeah. So his conscience is okay with that one.
He's kind of the member of the team that I think is going to eventually lead them to be more gentlemen thieves. Like I think we see Laurent as that gentleman thief, right? Because he's classy, he's in the suits, he knows all the expensive stuff, but there's still like, he's still selfish in that he's doing this for himself, in that he's scamming people who aren't, some of them are criminals, some of them aren't. Like, it just, just not, he's doing it for himself, no matter what the case is. I want money, I want hundreds of millions of dollars and all that stuff. And Edamura is kind of like, hey, what we're doing isn't good. And I think he's also going to be the one that kind of pushes them to like, okay, well, if we're going to do this, let's do it to bad people, and let's do it for a good reason. Like, let's give the money away to someone else, or let's help someone by scamming these people. So I like that he's like, unbeknownst to him, like affecting the team to be like, let's actually have a conscience, right?
Yeah.
So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. But yeah, so that like pilot, as well as that first case, is you learn very quickly that like everything that's happening is a scam.
Right.
Because we see Edamura and his partner, I forget his name, the like short old dude.
Oh yeah.
But he's there, and they're trying to scam this older woman to buy a water filter for her faucet and stuff. Yeah. And she immediately is like, I don't need one of these. And she walks inside, and there's this flyer for like, beware the fake like water filter scam thing. And and she's like, I spotted him, and then that's when we see Edamura come in, and he's selling one, and he seems a lot more legit, and she buys one from that. But then we find out that she's also fake. Like, the old woman is working for Laurent to test him out to see if he would be good for the team. And so, yeah, it's kind of wild. And then throughout the course of that first case, you learn, like, the FBI is not actually the FBI. And it's just like, what is going on? Is everything a scam? Yeah. Is everything fake? The cake is a lie. Oh my God. Like,
the first case is a really fun setup of the team because it's peeling them back layer by layer.
Right.
Like, first he meets Laurent, and then it's like, oh, that guy you were working with, he's with me. That old lady you were talking to, he's with you. She's with me. We're going to go talk to this film producer, and he has this hot young actress following him around. She's with me. And the FBI agent, not a real FBI agent. She's also on the team. It's like one at a time. This is how we assemble our scam team, is that it's like, no, that's not a real civilian. They're with us.
It's kind of fascinating to watch because it is this like Ocean's 11, like we have the perfect plan where everyone is in place and at the right moment at the right time because there's that scene in the first case where they are checking on Edamura Mame's background because he's playing this doctor character.
Yeah.
But he has no online presence. And so they explain it away of like, oh, like he's not much of a like social media person. He likes to stay focused on his work. And so I think the film producer sends does he send his own men or does he send the cops?
No, I think he sends like some of his goons to this hospital or university in Japan where supposedly this doctor works. And it is the old woman and the guy, then the old guy who have snuck into that office, put on the lab coats, and they're like, oh yeah, he's been a wonderful colleague to work with. I believe he's out traveling right now. So sorry you couldn't talk to him in person.
Yeah, but he's great. He's wonderful. We love him. He does such great
brilliant
work.
Doctor.
Yeah.
A genius.
Yeah.
And then I love that the end of that scene is that, like, then those goons are like, okay, boss, seems legit. And like everybody leaves. And then this other doctor wanders in and he looks around at stuff was moved and he yells to the back of the room like, has anybody been in my office?
Yeah. Did one of you guys move my things? Yeah, it's good. I like that. But yeah, it's just this like wild series of events that just kept being like, wow, this is neat. Whoa, okay. Whoa, they're fake too. Oh my God. And so by the second case, when I was like, okay, he's out of the thing, he's got his own job. And then I started to be like, oh God, no. What if the guard in the prison was a plant by Laurent to like give him the recommendation to work at this mechanics thing so he can get trained to then push him to working on the airplanes to then being like, you are the perfect man for the job. And it's kind of like that. It's not that extent, but it like it's still like, he set this up too, man. God damn it! Like this is great. I like this. He just has so much money that he can like pay people to set things up or plant people in certain spots, right? So yeah. Laurent is a crafty fellow.
Yeah, I was hoping we would get his backstory because the way this show winds up being formatted is that the first season, that first case, we get little flashbacks to Edamura's past. You find out that his dad was this amazing altruistic lawyer who defended a lot of down on their luck people, and he grew up like adoring his dad, really admiring his dad. His dad was his hero. And then they find out through a news broadcast that their dad was involved in like a human trafficking ring. And so his reputation was, like
Yeah.
he's suddenly no longer got this hero, this father that he looked up to. But now everybody Edamura meets thinks he's just going to turn out just like his father. Like nobody trusts him. He can't get a job. And that's how he turned to scamming. He's like, if everybody tells me this is what I am, that's what I'll be. Fine. I'll be a criminal. I will scam people.
He ends up going to work for what he thinks is a legitimate company.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They end up scamming some people and they get busted immediately. It's like his first week there, and so he's just shocked of like I didn't, like, he knew some things were strange, like there's some things he's like okay, I'll go along with that seems not right, or stuff, but like he gets this thing on his record and no one will hire him, so he's just like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna be a con man.
Yeah, so like we've got flashbacks to that during the first case. During the second case, we get flashbacks to Abby's past, where like she was from Iraq and like her town got torn up by war. Her parents were killed, and then she became this sort of guerrilla soldier, and that she's having all of these terrible flashbacks to that throughout the entire case. And then the third one, because I saw it was starting in France, I thought, oh, now we're going to learn something about Laurent. And we don't. It's all about Cynthia. And I did really like that story, but I'm like, oh, dang, we don't know anything about Laurent. So hopefully that's what season 2 is. Right. Yeah. We don't know a single thing about this guy's past.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully season 2 is about that. And if they continue it, I really, really hope that by the end of this, we learn that Edamame has been setting up this like long scam to scam all of these guys out of like everything that they do. I think that would be wonderful.
God. Maybe he is. I don't know. He is very smart. And as much as he is more of a conscience than the other people on the team, you could say, but he seems to also have an appreciation for the art of the scam.
Oh, sure, yeah, and like he's quickly becoming friends with them, so maybe he won't scam them, right? But yeah, like we still don't know about Laurent. Like we mentioned, there is that tension between them, and at the end of the day, he does seem to be a selfish prick. So, I mean, maybe they scam him instead. Like he convinces the rest of the team to scam Laurent somehow. Who knows? I just like that idea that like at the like end of season 5 or something like down the road, you learn that like he's been just ever so slowly like learning the ropes and planting things and starting to be just like, bam, checkmate, there it is.
Yeah, like he learns how to scam Laurent, but he doesn't know who Laurent truly is. And then there's like an emotional flashback where he's like, you poor troubled soul, I should not have done this to you.
or something like that. But so let's dive in briefly with this first case here and start talking a little bit more about the details of that. So Laurent is interested in scamming this Hollywood movie producer who is basically making his version of like the typical like macho action film, right? It's the Expendables. It's
and it's these like high grossing but very poorly regarded action films that are literally called the Razzie series. Like the name of the award for bad movies, the Golden Raspberry Awards.
Yeah. And he's this Hollywood producer who's also a like mafia drug dealer guy. Like that's how he actually makes all of his money, and the movies are just this like just the front, right? Um, and the whole scam is that he had planted Abby as the producer's new assistant. He's planted Cynthia as the FBI agent who swoops in to like stop the cops from like interfering and stuff like that, who they know is also watching him, but also under the payroll of the producer. But yeah, so they're hoping to scam him by selling him these new drugs that they are saying Edamame had made. He is this new doctor. He's come up with this new drug in the form of candy, and yeah, they hope to scan him with that, and it starts to turn into a Breaking Bad situation.
Yeah,
where they're just like, cool, we'll sell you this for 10 million, which will also include the recipe so you can make it yourself. And the guy's like, no, actually, I want you to make it. You'll stay here and you'll make it because this is your baby. Like, this is your masterpiece, right? And yeah, they like remodel the whole like spot where they cook it all. And I think they make a reference to Breaking Bad. He's like, okay,
yeah.
Okay, now you just have to do your best, Heisenberg, and we'll be out of here. You know.
Yeah, there are a lot of contemporary pop culture references throughout these. Like it never goes overboard, and they all like make sense. Like they're not obnoxiously modern and of the times. Like you see the movie producer looking at a script and he's like, yeah, it's like, oh, this is a garbage script. You really think I'm going to get Leonardo DiCaprio in this? Which is like a timeless joke, in that that joke has persisted for like the last 25 years. He's been the go-to of, I couldn't get this guy in this movie.
It's definitely a good one though. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, or like Edamura loves gachapon machines, and he keeps going to this one gachapon machine that gives him like a little plastic figurine of a member of an important figure in Japanese history, and he gets one of them, and then I think Laurent or Abby or somebody's like, who's that? And he explains who it is, but he's like, it's not Ken Watanabe, just citing like the most famous Japanese person who they might think it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, good for Ken Watanabe to be that reference point, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, they try scamming him, and yeah, there's this like fake death scene when the FBI swoops in. You as the viewer know something is up, but you don't know the exact extent of things, right? Yeah, in the back of my mind, I was like, I doubt they're dead, but
right, and especially because this has been a series about a Hollywood movie producer. Of course, that is fake blood. Of course, that's a squib and a fake explosion. Yeah. You can't trust any of this.
Yeah. So at the last moment, the FBI, or who we think is the FBI, swoops in and to make the arrest and stuff like that. And there ends up being a shootout, and that's when Laurent saves Abby, or tries to, but they get shot in quotations, and yeah, they don't tell Edamame about all of this, so he's freaking out, being like, "Oh my god, what is going on?" Yeah, and then they like fake arrest this movie producer, but then they end up like making a deal with him to like, hey, we'll get rid of the evidence if you stop all of this and you pin this on someone else, and who all of that stuff. And so he gives them just a whole bunch more money, and then they let him go, And yeah, and then it's revealed that it's all fake, and they've actually given him to like, here's the actual stuff, and if you want to turn him in, then you can do all of that.
Yeah,
So,
and like
it's good.
Edamura's been knocked out, and then he wakes up and he's on an island, and Cynthia's like, yeah, this is my private island. I was working with you the whole time. This is how good of a scammer I am. Look at my island. And it's everybody from the scam, like every fake FBI agent, like
All the fake
everybody who
cops, that
Edamura
old
had
woman
no
who
idea was
bought
in on
the
it.
water filter,
and
yeah.
Yeah. And like they're all having a party. They're like, this is great. We should do this next time. It's a very warm ending. I don't know. There's something charming about how everybody who's in on the scam is friends with each other, and they like to hang out and party,
They're a big,
not
happy
just
family.
out of like not just out of the let's revel in our riches, let's get the finest food, the finest drinks. It's like, no, let's hang out. Like, let's just celebrate with each other as pals.
Yeah. I do have to shout out the plot thread of the movie producer's bodyguard.
Yeah.
That was the heart of that story, where he has a kid, but he's separated from his wife, so he can only see his kid on Sundays.
His wife died in an accident, and so his son is in like a home of some kind, because they don't think the father's like a fit guardian, so he only gets visitation with his kid once a week. And he took off like one of those days to like.
I was just gonna add that's because he used to be a gang member, and now he's working for this mafia guy. So they like, people kind of know who he is, right, and what he's up to, and so that's why they're like, you're not a good father for this thing. But he actually is trying to be one, and so that's like at the end of it, that's why they give him the like, hey, if you want to turn your boss in and be free of it, here's the stuff that will get him in jail.
Yeah, and like, because Edamura had his relationship with his father shattered as soon as he finds out that this bodyguard who's been in charge of watching him has the son that he should be going to see today, and instead he's like, no, I'll watch the guy the boss told me to watch. Then Edamura's like, go see your son, and I guess I'll just tag along. Like, I guess the three of us are just going to Six Flags Magic Mountain together.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, oddly sweet. Him and the kid are friends.
Yeah. So the last thing I'll mention about this first case, and I guess the series as a whole, is I think it really, really started out with a bang.
Yeah.
And then, not that it got worse, because it did not, but the show slowed down as it went.
Yes.
Right? Like, that first case is just nonstop fast, and this guy's on the team, and this guy's a scam, and that guy's a scam, and you're a scam, and he's a scam, she's a scam, everyone's a scam, And the second one still has a lot of fast pace action, but it slowed down a bit. There's more of these character moments, and there's the tension between Abby and Lois, I believe his name was, who also was a soldier and seems to be one of the or it's not clear if he was one of the exact people, but he was on the opposite side of the war as her, and potentially bombed her home. And so, like, yeah, there's like emotional stories within that, and just it slows down a bit. And then that third story is much, much more calm and slow, and it's a much more touching story.
It is. I think the third story was my favorite.
Romance. I think I liked that third one the best.
Yeah, I think the show knows how to balance itself out. Like we said, the first story is very fast-paced. There's a lot of little twists in it. So the second story is narratively a little simpler, but they amp the visuals way up. The second case is the most aggressively colorful and dynamic. It all takes place basically in one location. Like after Edamura leaves the like repair shop in Japan, it's all within like a couple buildings in Singapore. And the setting is
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous. You know, it's these real life locations of that huge hotel that has these three like kind of clothespin towers with these two little legs and then this huge like platform on top of it with the infinity pool, and it's got the sky garden, like all these
Yeah,
amazing structures. And there's like
gorgeous.
a river winding around it, and so that's where this air race is. So they're flying around through all these beautiful buildings, and like everything takes place at sunset, and like the colors are just super saturated and drenched. Like every highlight is bright yellow and every shadow is like cobalt blue. It's dazzling, but it's
Yeah.
almost too much. And so the third case, oh, it's like it gets like a little bit more complex narratively, and like the visuals are like, okay, I understand you need a break now. It's not we're going to calm the color palette down. We're going into some more like lush jewel tones, and
Yeah.
like it's an art heist, and like the art piece they're dealing with
The
is
art
this
is the
piece called
main focus of the visuals, right? Instead
yeah.
of like the
Yeah.
sky or the water or the, all of that stuff, it is the pieces of art that are like, whoa, those look
Mm.
great.
Yeah, and they do look beautiful, and they're able to represent all these different styles of art really
Yeah.
well. But yeah, the
Yeah.
main painting is called Snow of London, and so it's this very neutral colored, kind of pointillism,
Whites and
expressionist
beiges
piece.
and yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, we understand your eyes need a break. Here is Snow of London for us to focus on.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I liked that first case because it pulls you in with just like, bam, we're hitting the ground running with all of the stuff, and you are in for a wild ride. And then the show slowly pulls you in with the character moments and stuff, and like, yeah, I liked it a lot. So let's talk a little bit more about that second case, which we've kind of mentioned is this like annual airplane race that they do in Singapore. It's run by these two brothers, but the whole thing is rigged. The whole thing is scripted. It's always gonna be the like younger brother who's actually the pilot versus someone else. And they, for a long time, they had this one guy that was there doing it, and then he got in this accident. Now he's in a wheelchair and he can't fly and all that stuff. And they come in trying to kind of challenge that. And be like, we're gonna scam you out of all the winnings and money you make off of this competition. And it's an interesting one too. Like you said, it is the most visually stunning. They're in the sky, they're above the water, there's all these like futuristic buildings and stuff, and it's a spectacle to see. There's so much happening, there's so much going on, and it's all these different cultures too, because it's these big famous people. Some of them are from the Middle East. Laurent is there and he's French. Edamura's there and he's Japanese, and it's just this like mix of cultures and stuff at this big spectacle. So it's like a pod racing. Now that's what I call.
I was going to say
pod
like
racing.
the Olympics or something, but pod race, I suppose, also fits.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice that even if I didn't get to watch the Olympics this year, I did get to see a brightly colored international competition of some kind.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So this one focuses more, like the flashbacks and character moments of this one focus more on Abby and who she is and where she comes from. We did already kind of mention it, but she's a war orphan that turned into this guerrilla soldier that is now doing these scams with Laurent to kind of give her something to do. Is the way that I interpreted that she's wanting, it's basically a cry for help is what I
Mm-hmm.
figured it as, right? Like, because there's so the whole scam relies on her being the pilot of an airplane, and she is a very good pilot because of her time in the war and stuff. And she's reckless, though. Like, that's the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's not pulling stunts in a way that's like, oh, you're showing off, but like, wow, that was like, you could have died doing that move. And
Mm-hmm.
Laurent ends up commenting on like why she is doing this, and was like, because she wants to die. And like, it's one of the more sobering moments, because it
Yeah.
kind of is like, oh, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, and it's not so specific to this moment or so specifically actively suicidal, just that she had, her entire childhood, her entire family, her entire, home broken, and she
Yeah,
doesn't know what to do with herself, so she just keeps putting herself, she just
in these
challenges herself,
dangerous
learns all these
situations.
intense skills. Like she's such a physically adept person, like she's an amazing fighter. When she's pretending to be this actress in the first case, like she does a great, like she's pretending to
Fake
be
accent,
super
yeah.
affected by that drug, and it's amazing. She gives this great,
It's
wild
over the
physical
top.
performance of all this convulsing when she takes the drug. Like she's challenging herself and giving herself all these skills just to like have something else to focus on, and putting herself in these dangerous situations, because if she goes out,
She
who will
goes
miss
out and
her?
can be
What will
with her
she miss?
family. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, it's a sobering moment, and then,
Mm-hmm.
like I mentioned, there's that tension between her and the other character. That one, I, it's a tragic story,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, but I don't know if it was as affecting as what we see in that first case, with the flashbacks
Mm-hmm.
with Edamura's family, as well as with the bodyguard and his
Mm-hmm.
kid, as well as the like love story that we see in the third case. I just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't as interested in that story. Like, I kind of like her character. To me, is one that's just like, okay, you're the mysterious badass. Bad things
Mm-hmm.
happen to you. You had a shitty life. Like, that's kind of all I really need to know. Like, no offense to her, right? But like, I
Mm-hmm.
just like, I cool. Like, that's all I
Yeah.
need. And they
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
to
It
expand on
doesn't.
that, and I was just like, I don't need this, really.
Yeah. And like with Edamura's story, there's something happening, because I think very early on somebody mentions like his father's reputation, and how like, after what your father did, none of us trust you. But like you don't know what it is that happened. Like you're
Right?
getting
Yeah.
towards some sort of a twist. It's flashback after flashback of like him, spending time with his family, and like, okay, I know that the dad's gonna do something. What is it? So like that's got a turning point to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think Abby's story really does. She's getting all these, um, and that's less of a scene flashback of let's go back and watch this brief dialogue sequence between you and your parents. It's more like literal, like psychological
Confrontation.
flashbacks. Yeah, just like images. Yeah, we're just seeing these images flash to her over and over again, and like we piece it together, and you piece it together, I think, pretty quickly, and then you just see more of it over and over again as she keeps reliving it. Yeah, it doesn't have the same narrative punch to it as that twist you're looking for in Edamura's flashbacks.
Indeed. So yeah, the whole thing is she's the pilot. Adamura is the mechanic that they have planted on the team of the brothers that run the whole thing, that
Mm.
run the whole race. Um, they do that, and Laurent is running this like fake underground gambling ring there, and that's how they like entice the older brother, who is the like team manager slash creator of the race, to like continually bet more and more money and stuff like that. And yeah, they end up losing the thing. But then there's also this other scam that they pull that I didn't get all of the details of, but the final race, they take Abby out of the pilot seat and they put in Lewis, who was the guy who used to race and used to be the one that would always take second place in their like scripted narrative, and who we also find out like his whole accident wasn't really an accident, and it was planned and scripted as well. But he didn't know that exactly. But he gets to be the pilot, and he wins, or did he lose again? But it was an actual race. I don't know, because they did this weird thing with like they tint the windows of their apartment
so, like,
with this
the,
thing, so when it makes it look like one
the private
person,
the private
their
box
fireworks will be a different color, which means that the other person won. That one was just a little bit confusing.
Yeah, I forget how it ended up, but I did like that setup for what it was, where like they've got the older brother in the private box. They have interrupted the TV's feed, so now he is seeing the winner that they want him to see. And yeah, they put the tinting on the windows so that he's looking at the wrong color firework, because they're lighting off these team color fireworks for the winner, and it makes it look red instead of purple, or purple instead of red.
Yeah. And so somehow, because of that, he thinks he's like it's one of the things where he put this like extra large bet, like I'm going all in on this thing, and he I guess doesn't I guess that whole thing is to stop him from realizing that he's actually lost. And so that gives them time to escape with the money that they made, something. But yeah, that one was an interesting one as well. And yeah, it was just a little bit confusing at the end. That was the one that I was like, okay, I liked this, but I just, there was a lot happening right there at the end.
Yeah. A lot to focus on. The third case was my favorite.
Absolutely.
I think because it's the most, plot-wise, the most straightforward, and emotionally, like, the most compelling one. And it's like a good art plot. I liked seeing all these fake paintings.
Yeah, and it's a good, like, romance story too.
Yeah, like you're really rooting for it.
Heist stuff. They do a really good job of making this like, okay, let's actually spend time on this romance here that we are setting up as the heart of the story, and we get a good long segment of that case just dedicated to how important this romance is and seeing them fall in love. So with this one, we get a bunch of backstory for Cynthia, who is another member of the team. And it turns out when she was younger, she was hoping to be an actress. Maybe wasn't the best at it.
Turned out to be a good scam artist actress.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe she can't, hold a pilot, but she can sure convince somebody she's an FBI agent.
Yeah, sure. And she works at this cafe where this like super shy, introverted artist, just has his lunch there each day or something. And I don't know if she was new to the restaurant. I guess so, because she didn't know what his usual
Yeah.
was, but he's like, I'll have my usual, and she's just like, I don't know your usual.
Mm-hmm.
But they meet, and he asks her. He eventually bites up the nerve to be like, hey, would you model for me? And she's just like, yeah, sure, why not?
Mm-hmm.
You know. And so he ends up painting her a bunch of times, and all of these like really really good paintings, just like
Yeah.
like we said, the art now focuses on the art that they are making within the show,
Yes.
and it's really good. They do
It
all
is.
these different styles, and it's just like, oh man, like the lighting in that one painting when she's in that like green sweatshirt on the bed is phenomenal. I'm just like, that's really good. Damn.
Yeah, they put a lot of thought into the fake art that appears within this art scam plot. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and he's had trouble painting recently, and she kind of reinvigorates him. She becomes his
She's
muse,
his
and the
muse,
two of
yeah.
them fall in love.
Well,
And
she
he's like,
starts
and
falling
he
in love
can't
with
afford.
him as she's just like sitting there watching him paint, and he's so
Yeah.
inspired, right? Which is
Yeah.
a fairly typical thing. Like when you see someone who is so passionate at what they do and just absolutely is inspired by what they do or what they see, right? Is just like, wow, like this is neat. And she falls hard so fast.
It's this classic starving artist. They used to eat cans of beans. And they're in England, so like beans are a big food over there. They love their
Oh, yeah.
Heinz brand canned beans, as far as I know
Beans
about
on
England.
toast. Yeah.
Beans on toast. They
That's all
don't
I
even
know.
have the toast. You can't afford the toast. It's a beans only household. And he can't afford to buy her a ring, so he draws her a picture of a ring and says,
Half
"Someday I'll
beans,
give
none
this to you."
toast. Half beans, none toast.
None
That's
toast,
what it
left
is.
beans.
Yeah, none toast, left beans. That's great. Yeah. So they're at some like farmers market thing. He's trying to sell his paintings. She's there with him, and this world-renowned art critic shows up and is like, holy moly, you have some talent. But instead of focusing on his originals, he focuses on the like replicas that he's made.
Yeah, which he's been doing is like as a study, as a practice, and also he's like a tourist will buy a copy of a Van Gogh that is clearly labeled as a copy of a Van Gogh. He's like,
Right, yeah.
it gets enough money for me to buy beans.
Yeah. And he's like, dude, your skills are impressive. Like if you had the right paints and stuff, like I wouldn't be able to tell. And so this art dealer, we learn, is also kind of a scumbag, because what he ends up doing is like, hey, you come work for me, you start making these forgeries of long lost paintings, I will find them, right, and be like, hey, this is the real thing, and then we can sell it for a bunch of money, and we'll split it, and all is good and dandy in the art world. And he's like, I don't know, but I guess if it brings me some money and that way I can start working on my own stuff, and yeah, sure, and very quickly though, he just kind of gets roped into this thing. Like he doesn't even realize it yet, but he's just turning into this douchebag, right? Where he has the like, he's starting to have some piercings and a new hip haircut, and he's like, well, my contract says that I have 6 more that I need to do. And Cynthia's like, you don't even have a contract. Like, you're just in this like verbal arrangement. Like, you can stop whenever you want, which should be now. Like, let's go and do our thing. Like, we have enough money. And he's just like, nah, I'm good. I like this. Right? And then she's just like, oh, okay.
Well, his thing is that he's like, I never made it as an artist. This could
This
be
is
the
now my
only
calling.
time I am ever like I can ever make a living off of my paintings. He's like, I can't leave. I think they do a
Right,
really
yeah.
good job of setting this guy up as very sympathetic. Like he got in over his head. He was so downtrodden, and this was like his one chance to do something close to what it was he'd always wanted to do his entire life. He's like, if I can't make it as an original painter, I'll make it as a forger. If I
Yeah.
don't know a single other thing in my life. So you're like, you understand why Cynthia left him, but you also still like the guy enough that you hope that they get back together.
Yeah, you kind of
Which is
do.
a fine line to walk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's basically the whole backstory of of this thing. And then in modern day times, Edamame is trying to make it on his own now. He's trying to hold a job. He's been living at this like Italian bed and breakfast place.
Yeah, it's some place in like the French countryside. They're in Nice. They're in Nice in the south of France. He's trying to work at a local sushi restaurant. He has no idea how to make the sushi.
I think the sushi restaurant is also, I think they're Chinese and they think he's Korean, and he's like, no, I'm Japanese, like, or something.
Yeah, yes,
like
that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, so he's not making it all that that well. He's making it by, but barely, right?
Yeah.
And he finds out that the place he's staying is having to shut down because they're in major debt. And then eventually he comes up with this scam to sell this painting that he has, because this art critic walks into his sushi restaurant and just completely destroys it, which is similar to what we saw in the Drops of God manga that we read. It's like the exact same plot thing, right?
Yeah, it's like a guy who walks in, trashes your restaurant, and then they got to figure out how to get back at the guy. And like Edamura had heard him talking on the phone.
Trashes it with a bad review.
Yeah.
He
did not literally
like
destroy it.
Table. Yeah,
I think he did throw the food at the chef, but no, he did. Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah, and so
Edamura hears him talking on the phone to somebody back home in London, and he's like, "Yes, I'll when I'm in Paris on the way back home, I'll stop and I'll buy you a piece of art. Some little small thing between 20 and 30,000 euros." So Edamura sees that there's this really nice painting hanging in this little bed and breakfast where he's staying.
Let's sell
he's
him
like, "Can
that painting?"
Yeah. Like let's sneak into a gallery, put this on the wall, stick a 25,000 euro price tag on it, and the guy will buy it. And then I come back and I give this family those earnings, and then they can afford to keep this place open, and I can keep living here because I like it here.
Yeah. And that scam ends up going wrong in the sense that the guy buys it, being like, this is a steal. Like, absolutely, I will buy this for $25,000, right? And then the next day on the news, there's this big news thing, like the long-lost painting Snow of London, worth $100 million, and he's just like, like, I could have gotten that much? Like, holy moly. And so now they're just like, look, we fucked up. We need to get this painting back. We need to get the money back. We need to scam this guy again to like set things right, because we need to help this bed and breakfast thing, but this isn't enough, and we did the wrong thing. And so so that's how they get this idea to scam them, and that's when Cynthia's like, I know someone who can help us out. And that's when we meet her ex-boyfriend and stuff like that. And they do this like underground black market art auction thing, which again is just filled with all of Laurent's people except for the one person that they're scamming. And yeah, like there's a lot going on there, but it's a beautiful story. It's a yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
The
great one.
the love story is touching. The way Thomas, the boyfriend, the painter, his character ends up is that yeah, he's been making these paintings for James Coleman, this art critic,
Oh
and
yeah,
then he
you're right.
goes into a museum one day and he sees one of his forgeries hanging on the wall, and some art student is sketching it, and this turns in him, and he's like, I can't take the place of these great artists. I do not want the next generation of artists learning from a forgery. So then he takes all
Yeah,
the money he's earned to buy his paintings back. These paintings that have been touted as these long lost treasures. So he goes deep into debt doing this. And then he ends up like right back where he started, sleeping on a twin bed, eating a can of beans with no
an
toast.
empty room. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I like James Coleman as a villain. I think he was the most interesting of the three villains that we had. Like the Hollywood producer, the brother who's organizing the air race. Yeah, I think Coleman
he
had the
was
most to do.
he was
He's
the
the
one
most
that was most
dynamic.
menacing, right? Because as
Yes.
much as that first case was like, oh yeah, he's a mafia member or stuff, he was unsuspecting in
Yeah.
in an odd way, which this guy was unsuspecting too, but in a way that was just like, oh yeah, we have to get this guy back. Like we love to hate him,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, they made him into a good villain, but he had this whole love story too, where he was kind of using this woman who
Mhm.
had a big fortune to buy these paintings so that normal like blue collar workers wouldn't get their grubby fingers on these paintings and
Yeah, like this man
stuff like
loved
that.
art so much he would come to his lover. And he's like, "Darling, I have to put this painting up for auction, but I can't bear to part with it. This should be truly treasured by a true connoisseur of art." And she's like,
And
"Don't
she's
worry,
like,
darling.
that's
I'll bid on
me,
the painting.
I'm a
I'll win it
true
for you."
connoisseur of art, I'll buy it for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have this private room in her estate, which is just wall to wall, like every inch of the wall is covered with paintings. The two of them just sit there on a little couch in their matching bathrobes and observe and admire the art.
Ridiculous, but yeah, so they end up like scamming her out of her money to get this stuff as well. They to for
But
go ahead.
no. So they want so they have Snow of London. They're going to put it up for auction. Coleman's going to come in and bid on it, and they know he's going to use her money to do it. He doesn't have any of his
Right.
own money. He just uses hers. So, but before that can happen, Abby goes up to this woman with the recorder that had recorded him like bad mouthing her and hitting on Abby instead. So now this woman's heart is broken. She's like, I never should have trusted him. I'm leaving. And then he wins the auction and he's like, okay, where's my girlfriend to pay for this? And they're like, so she's not here. You placed the winning bid. You need to
You
get
need
us
to
$100
pay
million.
for it. Yeah.
So she keeps I think they don't. She had sold off some assets to try and get the money to win the painting, but they don't actually scam her out of any money, and they give her, "Hey, this man has been lying to you and using you the whole time."
You are free, and yeah, and then there's also that like hopeful note at the end where
Yeah.
she has a butler who also seems to be a close friend, but because of the influence of this art dealer, she's grown very distant and cold to him, but he is still loyal and just like, this is my job, I've been with you for 30 something years, and he seems to kind of secretly be in love with her, and at the end of the day he's just like, don't forget, I'm still here with you.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just
Yeah.
like, you're right, you know, you have been here, maybe I am in love with you,
Mm-hmm.
there is that like hopeful note that she will be fine.
Yeah. Butler was a
But
good guy. And then
good old
when
Butler.
Cynthia and Thomas, they go back to that old cafe and they have a long conversation and they kind of reconcile things. They're not back together at the end of the story, but like they've reconnected, they understand each other. They're back in touch, and then neither of them is upset with each other, which is good. I would have liked to have seen them back together. I wanted Thomas on the team. Like they don't make him do any non-art related scam work. So like they're just traveling around the world,
We need a
heisting
logo.
all these people.
Like, I'm a painter, not a graphic designer. I don't know why you can't.
Yeah, and he's just sitting in the corner with a sketchbook, just like, all right, honey, you go have fun. I'm just going to be here in the hotel room drawing. I wanted that. Maybe we'll still get there. I'd like to see Thomas come back.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Yeah, I like this show a lot. It slowed down, but it really drew you in with the emotional stories and stuff, and I am absolutely going to watch season 2. I don't know if I'll get to it this week or the next or this year, but who knows? I'm absolutely want to go back and watch season 2, which is only 9.
Yeah, that one's shorter
episodes, so it's shorter, but it's all one case, so it's a longer case but shorter season. So there you go. Yeah, so who is this the studio that did this? Produced by Wit Studio, and let's see, directed by Hiro Kaburagi, written by Ryota Kosawa, character designs by Yoshiyuki Sadamoto, and music composed by Yotaka Yamada. Which I have to say, the music in this show is also phenomenal.
The music's great.
The opening theme song is wonderful. It's reminiscent of the Cowboy Bebop theme. And then the closing credits, amazing. It's
the closing credits,
Pretender by Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, and like I feel bad that Netflix like cuts off the end credits before he barely gets a syllable in, and then it's like next episode.
Yeah, it's a great sequence, and it's all cats. It's just these cats, like...
Yeah, I don't understand the cats.
I don't either, but I love it. It's great. Watch the end credits, please, at least once. It's brilliant. Yeah. And just within the show itself, the music is fantastic. It's just I have nothing but good things to say about this this series. I want to so I'm interested in what else this studio has done, because the art style, was just so incredible. So let's see. Wit Studio, a Japanese animation studio founded in 2012 by producers at Production IG as a subsidiary of IG Port. The studio gained notability for producing the anime adaptation of the Attack on Titan manga series. Okay, I can see that now, because Attack on Titan, I don't know if I would describe it as painterly, but there is this like odd like hint of that in the Attack on Titan series, which actually we covered season 1 of that back on the Whatnauts podcast, which you guys can find on our website, thewhatnauts.com. But what else did they do? Let's see. Oh, Vinland Saga. Okay. Vinland Saga. So I've read the first couple volumes of the manga of that. I haven't seen the anime, but Vinland Saga was amazing. That was great. Please go check that one out. Anything else? Oh, they did the Pokemon movie, The Power of Us.
I don't know that one.
I want. Was that the one where Pikachu talked? I don't remember. Let's see, where's the reception? I don't know. I don't know if that was the one that was weird because I remember there was one of them where Pikachu talked, like
Yeah,
spoke
that
English,
sounds
and
familiar.
everyone was just like, "What the hell? No!" But yeah, okay. This studio seems to be doing some good stuff. So good on them. They have a new hit on their hands with Great Pretender.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Final thoughts?
Good. Lots of fun, lots of nuance. Such a delight to watch. I liked how much real world settings it pulled in. Yeah, and like I said, it's they go to all these real physical, like real cities in the world. They've got, big architectural elements like the Hollywood sign. But I love to see all those specific strange artsy buildings in Singapore just for 4 or 5 straight episodes. I love those things.
Yeah.
Those are some of my desktop wallpapers at work.
Nice. I think the last thing I will say is that there's also a good diversity in the characters, right? Just in the way they look, the way they act. Just a surprising amount of diversity.
Yeah. I don't remember her name, but I love that old lady who's in on all the scams, and she has this giant snake tattoo on her arm, and she shows up in a leather vest and
filter.
Yeah, she's cool. I hope we get to learn about her.
Yeah, how did she get involved? Great. Yeah. Go watch it. Highly recommend it. Like I said, I think this might take the cake for my biggest surprise of this year on the show. Yeah, good stuff. Alyssa, do you have recommendations of what else people might like?
If you want, when you pitched this anime to me, it immediately reminded me of Mob Psycho 100, which also has a con artist as one of its main characters.
Okay.
A suave blonde con artist.
I'm feeling it. Yeah. Good stuff.
A couple weeks ago when we watched Knives Out, I recommended Logan Lucky. I'd like to recommend that again. It's from the director of Ocean's 11, and it is a really delightful, inventive heist movie about these down-on-their-luck brothers from West Virginia trying to hijack a NASCAR stadium of all of their snack bar cash.
Good stuff.
Lots of twists in that. It's fun to see all the different elements of that story come together.
Yeah.
And if you want a good art heist story, earlier this year I watched The Thomas Crown Affair, starring Pierce Brosnan from the late 90s, I think. He plays this man who he is a known art collector. I think that's not what he does professionally. I think he has an insurance company or architecture, one of those movie jobs a movie man has. But he collects art on the side, and secretly he's sneaking in and stealing treasured pieces of art. And the Rene Russo is an Interpol agent who's trying to investigate him, and then they fall in love, and she's in on the scams, and it's an okay movie. It's been spoken of highly on the various James Bond podcasts I listen to,
which
the Thomas Crown Affair.
James Bond, we didn't even mention that the villain in the third case on this is nicknamed the 007 of the art world, because he goes on these secret missions to find these paintings. It makes no sense, but it's just
not the best name. And we see him on the news, and somebody mentions the reporter asks him about it, and he's like, "It's probably just because my name is also James." He kind of admits this isn't the best nickname. It sounds cool, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's weird.
But I would listen to these Bond podcasts, and they would say the Thomas Crown Affair is almost a better James Bond movie than any of Pierce Brosnan's actual Bond movies.
Interesting.
So I'm watching it, I'm like, this is slightly less good than I thought it would have been, but the climax of the film kills it.
Phenomenal.
It's one of the most impressive, dynamic, heist climaxes where everything's coming together. All these elements you didn't know were part of it come together. And I think it was worth it to have kind of an underwhelming film experience. Like, oh, yeah, this is okay. Just to be like knocked off by the climax of the thing when it all comes together. I'm like, that was worth the entire time. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, at the start, I mentioned a bunch of things that this is absolutely influenced by. Go watch some Lupin the Third. You know, go watch Castle of Cagliostro or something, which we covered on this podcast. Or I guess I did covered, because that was like in the weird position where Paul just stepped down, but I wanted to keep the show going. So I was like, okay, we're rebranding as the review show. First 3 are only me. I was just like, I'm gonna review Castle of Cagliostro. It's good. I like it a lot, but there's a ton of Lupin the Third stuff, and I know there's that CGI movie that is either out or coming out very soon. I think it's
not sure
soon. Yeah, that looks good. So go check out some Lupin the Third. Go check out Cowboy Bebop, just for like the music and stuff, right? I would also recommend Durarara if you guys haven't seen that show. It's very different. It's not a heist show. It's not really like a crime comedy. I guess you could say there's some crime stuff going on in that, but that show has a similar level of energy to it, especially the first case of this show where they are scamming the movie producer. Just the energy and the speed at which it's paced, and like all of the characters and stuff like fitting into like it really reminded me of Durarara. So go check out that show. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, you guys should go check that stuff out. If you want another good heist thing to check out, I highly recommend Money Heist. Which is a Netflix original show. I think the original name is La Casa de Papel. It's all in Spanish, and a brilliant heist show. By the like 3rd or 4th season, I forget which one they're on, it does get a little ridiculous. But that especially that first heist that they're doing there, brilliant stuff. They want to do a heist on the Mint of Spain.
Yeah.
And instead of like stealing the plates to like print their own money, they go in and they barricade themselves inside, and are just like, okay, we are going to operate the mint now, and the longer we can stay in here, the more money we make. And so they're like, we're hoping to stay at least this long so we can make this much and then escape. But yeah, of course, the longer we stay, the more we make. But then we're also hoping to they're not just sitting there. Like they are actively like figuring out. They're not figuring out because they have it all planned out, but they are enacting their escape plan the entire time that they're in there. I won't say what it is exactly or how they did do it and stuff, but it's fascinating. It's a great show. So go check that one out as well. So there you go. Which I guess we also covered that on the Reactor Core, kind of, because I had seen the show, but Melissa, you had not. And so we did an experiment, kind of like what we did on here on the review show, but it was just me like explaining this all. Like, here's why you need to go watch it.
Yeah,
but there are spoilers in that too. But,
yeah, was that after the season 4, season 3?
I think season 3.
Oh yeah, because like this new season was coming out, and you wanted to react to it, but nobody else had seen it. So you're like, I will offer my reactions and also recap the entire series to Melissa, who doesn't know any of it.
Yeah.
It was
Indeed.
fun.
That's on our other podcast, the Reactor course. You guys can go check that out as well. Yeah, that's about it for this. So, Melissa, let's get on to the pitches for this next week, which, if I'm not mistaken, are going to be holiday themed.
They are, of course. I love me a holiday movie. And these are, at least two of these pitches you've heard me mention, I think, every year. And I'm going to keep going with both of them until we watch both of them eventually.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So get used to these. This is your assignment. So pitch number 1, a contemporary classic for our generation in particular, Christopher Columbus's Chris Columbus, not the guy who sailed the boat. Chris Columbus might sail a boat in his spare time. I don't know the man. It's Home Alone.
Time traveler, right? We don't actually
know a thing about him. Home Alone, Kyle. The boys left home alone at Christmas Eve. He has to protect his house from wet burglars. He uses traps and cans of paint and a tarantula his brother had. There's a scary man with a snow shovel, and then it turns out he's not so scary. And John Candy is in it.
Yeah. Is indeed.
We all know. I'm not really describing these things. We all know how Home Alone goes. We know what it is.
It's a great one. Yeah.
Yep.
Great one.
Pitch number 1 is Home Alone. And you also have the option to tack on a Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, should you want to. It's not obligated, but the option is out there to just do both of them. Both Macaulays. Pitch number 2 is an older Christmas movie. This is one I did not grow up with. I didn't see it for the first time until I was 22 or something. I was an adult when I saw it for the first time, but it worked on me. I was so charmed by it. I get so emotional watching it every year. It instantly became one of my favorites, and every year I have to watch this, and I'd really like to talk about it. This is Scrooged. This is a movie from the 80s. I think this was directed by Richard Donner. I should have looked these up. I didn't. I know most of them close enough in my own heart and mind. And this is a contemporary take on A Christmas Carol starring Bill Murray as a 1980s cable TV executive.
Okay.
Who's making his staff produce a live on Christmas Eve broadcast of A Christmas Carol that they're recording there live in their studio to broadcast to everyone. And so he's running around trying to arrange that while he's being haunted by the 3 classic ghosts we all know. It's just A Christmas Carol, but 80s.
Christmas Carol, but 80s. And Bill Murray.
There's a great cast in this. Alfred Woodard, Buster Poindexter plays the ghost of Christmas Past. So if you've ever wanted to see the guy who sang Hot, Hot, Hot play a ghost in a movie, I think this is your one chance.
Hot. How you feeling? Hot, hot, hot.
Yes.
That one?
How you feeling? The other important line in that song. It's that guy.
There's a lot of fun. One word over and over. The guy who said, stop. Who? Who is that?
Yeah, there's great practical effects in this movie. It's funny. But then it delivers on all of the heart that a Christmas Carol adaptation needs to. I cry at the end of this movie every year.
Ah, good stuff. Okay.
Yeah. And pitch number 3. So I had my 2 favorite Christmas movies. And I'm like, what the heck is the third one? I don't even know what my third runner-up is for favorite Christmas movie. And I thought, I don't know if I like this movie. I don't know if this movie is good. I don't know if anybody knows if this movie is good, but we all know it. And it's such a strange, fascinating thing that we could have a great conversation about. I'm sure there was 90 minutes of discussion to be had about Ron Howard's Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yes. Okay. So which
the live action one?
I was gonna say the live action one. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Wild. I saw a picture recently of Baby Grinch, on there. And wow, what an ugly baby.
Baby Grinch is what Baby Grinch must be.
Exactly. Man. Okay. Let's see.
Home Alone,
Home Alone.
Scrooged, or the haunting live action Grinch.
That's the one with Jim Carrey, right? As
Jim Carrey, Christine Baranski, Clint Howard, of course, and others.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with Scrooged because I've never seen it, but I've seen the.
I'm delighted to show you this movie.
Other two, yeah. So I'm gonna go with Scrooged. So
Hooray!
That is what we will do next week. Scrooge, starring Bill Murray.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. Good old Bill Murray, man.
Yeah.
He's always a delight to see. Well, that about wraps us up. Again, we are approaching the end of the year, so we don't have many more episodes of the review show left to do this year. But of course, we will be back next year as well. Yeah, be prepared for all of that. Be on the lookout for our end of the year retrospective. Should be a lot of fun. All that stuff. Go like, share, subscribe. You guys know the deal. Go follow us on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/the Whatnauts. We are hoping to make it to 50 followers on Twitch right now. I think last I checked, we were at 42 or 43, something like that. So we are close. So if you guys could help us out, that would be amazing. That is only one of the criteria that we need to hit to make affiliate on Twitch. But that is the one that you guys can help us out with. So that would be super helpful. If we could get there, go follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/the Whatnauts. Go subscribe to our YouTube, the youtube.com/the Whatnauts, where you can subscribe there. Melissa, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WilkyWit. That's WILKYWIT. And you can listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, where my brother James and I watch weird old kids shows that we vaguely remember.
That's great. Good stuff. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys want to stay up to date with our shows, we are at The Whatnauts on Twitter. Like I said, go like, share, subscribe. That's it. This has been episode 135 of the Whatnauts Review Show. We will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.